So before starting the pod, tragedy hit the Liverpool championship parade over the past few days. While we may not get to it a whole lot on the pod or talk about it, a moment of joy, a moment of a lot of fans finally getting to celebrate Liverpool was hit by a tragedy that occurred by a driver in the area. While news and reports are still coming out, nobody at this time has died, but our thoughts, our prayers are with all of those that were injured, affected, or a part of the parade. And we just want to acknowledge that we are thinking of the wider football family in this moment, and hope everybody gets through this and continues to celebrate Liverpool's 20th top flight championship.
Welcome to the Brutiful Game. As always, I am Blake here with Ferris.
Hola.
And Ron.
What's happening?
And on tonight's Brutiful Game, we celebrate the most important, unimportant thing in the world, the 2024-25 Premier League season wrap-up show, also known as our fifth anniversary. No, wait, sixth. Where are we at?
How many years have Leicester City won the league?
Yes, it's Leicester. Six, right? Yeah. So when Leicester won the league, is that right? What year was that? That seems like it should have been.
No, that's not right. That's absolutely not right. 8 years ago.
Is it?
That sounds more right.
No.
2016 or 17.
Did we miss 2 years?
I was in a coma at the time.
Well, I mean, think about it. Ron was out in Beijing for like a year and a half, 2 years with the pod. Like we did.
There was a pandemic.
I mean, like, yeah, the last time that Liverpool won this whole thing. So holy cow.
I think it was 8 years.
8 years. That doesn't even seem right. 6 sounded a lot to me. But yeah, that's 8, guys. So that's our anniversary, because we famously started our pod, decided to launch a Premier League podcast right after the last days the season ended for the 2015-2016 season. Dang, I just felt my back hurt a little bit and my knees got achy.
Good God, I just got tired.
I mean, it's true.
Go to bed.
It has to be 8. I didn't have a kid when we started this, and they're 7 years old now.
No,
so
that's
like,
fair.
yes,
that's
so
fair, yeah.
Yeah.
Ron didn't have a kid at the time. Ron wasn't married at the time. It's just wild.
I have the sudden urge to yell at people to get off my lawn.
Get off my damn lawn. I have been my old man voice just sounds like Voldemort. My little one has been working her way through the Potter films, and we just finished Deathly Hallows Part 1, and like she's so annoying because I just walked the house going, I want to get over, like all the time since we've started watching those again.
That's we're it's the 40 years kind of in the universal realm. It's the 40 years of Back to the Future this year.
Great Scott!
Great Scott. And there is a Doc Brown, who I will not name, but has been Doc Brown at the parks for years and years and years. Just an awesome guy. He's a friend of mine. I know him. But every time I see him, Back to the Future.
I want to get over.
Oh, Back to the Future, and he just has that. When you said it that way,
I never thought about it. Ray Fiennes.
Back to the Future.
He's just Voldemort is just British Doc Brown. That's all it is.
Yeah, no, it's fair.
If they found the time turner, see, we could rewrite this whole thing right now. Oh, my goodness. Well, I love that 8 years later, we still ramble just as much as when we started, as we gathered and huddled around one Blue Yeti microphone set in an omnidirectional as we hunched over 3 chairs with a Guinness, a Pacifico, and what was yours, Ron?
Allagash
White.
Allagash White.
Was Allagash White, yeah. Three classics that we started with to do the pod. And now here we are, 8 years later, covering the end of the 2024-25 Premier League wrap-up show for us. And we're going to go over how the table concluded, who made Europe, which is like it'll be wild if we ever see this happen again the way it happened, and those coveted Champions League places, while also giving you our bestest of the season and how our preseason predictions did. Probably not well, I don't think.
Some people better than others, but nobody really great.
Yeah, I was going to say, our MLS ones were pretty wretched. So we'll see how
it was a pretty crazy topsy-turvy season. So
yes, that's we'll get to that when we get some of our best of the bestest. We're gonna blow the halftime whistle then as the conference champion of the Chop Steak and the Clear Lake Canoodler of the Chelsea Cannon Fodder. Ron shares with us all the news that's fit to drink, and yet another edition of Ron's Beer News as he celebrates a Europa Conference League win. And then finally, in the second half of the pod, we'll stay in Europe as we wrap up all the big leagues and the big cup tournaments that have come to an end, and one still to come, and yet another edition of the LeagueA's Roundup. But first, our beer. Well, why should we be any different than 8 years later? Totally forgot to say who would go first in describing their beer. It's the consistency of this pod that I've come to enjoy. So, you know what? I'll just go first, guys. Because
why not?
I'm rolling with I think my brewery from this last pod. I'm staying in Lancaster. I'm staying with Lancaster Brewing, working my way through a bunch of the ones I got. Ferris, in honor of your Pacifico from the first pod we ever did, I'm trying Lancaster Brewing Company. Mark Brownworth being the brewmaster there, guy that both Ron and I know. Their Mexivania, Mexican style lager.
Nice.
This go round. Who says we can't brew an awesome Mexican style lager? Cerveza beer is a light straw in color with a soft spice, tea and green fruit notes from the addition of pearl hops. A truly cool, refreshing, easy drinking brew with or without the lime. Boom. Pour into a glass. 4.6 or 4.7 ABV. I am still on the quest. If someone's got a Mexican style lager in their craft brewery, it has now become like the first thing I try if I see it on the list.
Oh, absolutely.
Who's next?
I will go. And Ron, I apologize. This is a beer that I wanted to say for a time that we were together, but that's been a hot minute now. As family's been there, work's gotten in the way. You name it, we just haven't been able to make it work. But
Ron's got remodeling happening. It's all
there's remodeling happening. Yeah,
craziness.
He's outside, so we can legitimately tell people to get off of his lawn right now if he wanted to.
Yeah, he literally
if
can't.
They're on your lawn, then we probably wouldn't see Ron on there. He'd probably be going inside.
What's the peek behind the curtain? Ron is outside recording by the crickets because he literally they're sleeping in the studio now as they get stuff fixed.
Yeah, we're remodeling a bunch of things, and so now we're relegated to sleeping in the studio/guest bedroom until the rest of it gets done. And since, we're expecting our second child, I can't relegate my wife to sleep on the couch while I'm in the studio.
So who's the Southampton? Who's the Leicester? Who's the Ipswich
of this situation?
The bunch right now. The situation right now.
That's what I was going to ask.
Well, I'm going to have to take Southampton.
Yeah, because you absolutely have to, because you pick them every single time on the pod for the past 8 years.
Yeah.
Well, in case you didn't know, those are 3 teams that got relegated. But anyways, so I having a brewery on that I had a little while back now from Tripping Animals Brewing down south in Doral, Florida. And Ron, I was saving this one because I know you like this style, but having come to find out, they're only Belgium style double.
Oh,
8% on the ABV. It's called Wild Duck.
Love the label.
And it's like one of those old, are those like mallard ducks?
Yep, that's a mallard duck.
Yeah, the old school mallard ducks. I always remember this from my grandfather, especially up north there. You would see those a lot, and he had some beautiful artwork and beer steins and those type of things with the mallard duck on them. But again, it's an 8% Belgian double from Tripping Animals Brewery. And I'm excited to have this because they just make everything good, and an 8% sounds mighty fine to me. And I might have a second one of theirs on the pod, but I'll say that if and when I get to it.
Nice. Mine, I've been saving for something good to happen in the Chelsea universe. And so tonight I'm going to celebrate 2, or technically 3, good things that happened for the Chelsea broader football club. One, the women's team won another league title in the WSL. The men are finally going back to Champions League, and we won the Conference League. So to celebrate that, I have been saving. A friend of the pod sent me a La Trappe quadruple.
Oh,
you beat my double.
Dang.
Yeah, a Trappist quad from La Trappe, and it has won a ton of different awards. The Dutch Beer Challenge. It's won the European Beer Star. It's won a million different things. It is malted barley, Munich pale, caramel, and roast malts, glucose syrup, hop yeast. You can pair it with stews, spare ribs, blue cheese, bananas, coffee, dark chocolate, various cheeses, and for the record, it was the first quadruple ever brewed on the planet Earth. This particular one is a bit more special than the kind of the standard La Trappe beer because it was aged in oak barrels. It's unfiltered and it's top fermenting. So it sat in red wine oak barrels for 3 years. Check this out, gentlemen. Here's before I actually open it.
Holy cow, that is
Whoa.
rad. Ron is kicking our butt for cool beer today. This is rad.
Heck yeah,
And it's
man.
still sealed, like the cardboard sleeve that it's in. And it is bottle number 2 of 534.
You sure you want to open that, Clark? What's that thing
Yeah,
running for
right?
online these days?
It's better in my stomach. And there's some information on it. So La Trappe is based in the, let me make sure I get this right. It is based in the Our Lady of Koningshoven Abbey, right? Run by Brother Bernardus. Can't
Brother
make that up.
Bernardus.
Right. So
Real friends of
Koningshoven,
mine.
Koningshoven Brewery is one of the few Trappist breweries in the world that may use the Trappist, the authentic Trappist product label, which is the best guarantee of authenticity, the recipe, tradition, and quality. Only beer that is Trappist ale if it's brewed within the walls of a Trappist abbey under the supervision of monks, and part of the profits are donated to good causes. Pure, honest, and all you can taste. So we have an oak aged for 3 years in red wine barrels, quad.
That sounds flipping amazing.
Very
Oh,
cool,
look
dude.
at that thing.
Wow. Look
Oh,
at that.
The unboxing.
oh, man. Woo. All right. Well,
You start to open that. We'll open ours.
I'm like, should I
11
switch? But I don't have
11 ABV.
I don't have
11.
I don't have a Belgian beer upstairs, so I can't switch out and trade out. I have a really high alcohol content German beer, but I'll refrain. I'll stick with my Mexican lager for right now.
All right. I'll just do my pitiful old 8% double.
I know.
I told you would miss not being here.
Yeah.
I've been saving this for like,
A special occasion.
it's got to be 10 months or so.
Damn.
All right, gentlemen, crack these bad boys open.
Oh,
Got my for our anniversary. I got my beautiful game glass out.
oh, this smells incredible, and I'm only just pouring it.
I always feel like beers taste better out of our beautiful game glass.
Oh, look at that color, gentlemen.
Ooh, look at that
pretty.
yeastiness.
Oh,
Okay, not for nothing, but in our beautiful game glass, this Mexican cerveza pours like our logo. I love it.
Heck yeah, it does.
That's
awesome.
oh,
that's pretty.
guys, I wish you could smell this. Oh,
Man,
this is like.
If only I had a nickel for every time Ron has said that phrase.
Yeah, right.
All right, we got to drink this now.
All right. Cilantro boys, to the end of another eventful, awesome Premier League season.
Cheers.
Cilantro.
Cheers, gentlemen. The only problem I got, this can go down quick. I might be ordering a second beer from upstairs. Oh, tasty.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
You okay there, Ron?
I only have 2 words. Holy that is so good. I expected it to be a bit more heavy on the alcohol flavor. And I expected it to kind of be a little, a little more on the bitter side. But this is a super smooth quad. You get the oak and you get a bit of that red wine taste, but it's not overpowering. It's really subtle and very complex. You taste the arc of it throughout the entire journey as you drink it.
Man, Ron dropping the tasting the arc of it. Like that beer journey just sounded so good.
Oh, this is incredible.
Drop the old arc on us. And not Noah.
I know. Or Indiana Jones's arc.
The tip of the tongue is very sweet, but it mellows quickly as it kind of rolls back across your palate.
Now, see, this is the thing, man. I have not found the place to find beers like that yet here. I got to go on the hunt for that kind of stuff. Where'd you snag that?
Friend of the pod brought it back from Belgium.
Well, I need more friends to visit Belgium.
Ooh,
and bring back beer when they do so.
Yes.
Oh my God. Ooh. If I just go silent, it's probably because I'm drinking this.
A beer that tastes better than Cole Palmer's foot. There we go.
Wow, this is incredible. Who? What?
Exactly.
Forgot where we are.
Ron doesn't know where he is. Oh my God. Well, shall we move on to the euphoria of ending another Premier League season where hopes and dreams have been realized, dashed, and we can all dream again for the following season?
Let's do it.
Why not?
All right. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to start going through the table, how it ended on the following day of the Premier League this past Sunday. We'll kind of go through our position, the team, the goal difference, and the total points. Ron, take us away on the first 5. Ron is still, yeah.
I was busy imbibing this beer. So the Premier League season ends with Liverpool winning the title. 25 wins across the season. Goal differential of plus 45 off the back of Mo Salah's head, right foot, left foot, chest, butt, knee, whatever could score on 84 points. Crushed it. A great season for them. Number 2, in second place, Arsenal on 20 wins. They had a goal difference of plus 35, 74 points. Man City manages to climb themselves up to third place, 21 wins on the season, a plus 28 goal difference, and 71 points to close out. Chelsea, on the last gasp of the Premier League, make it to fourth, I say. 20 wins on the season, a plus 21 goal difference on 69 points. And
Nice.
Finishing out the top 5, which is the Champions League places, Newcastle with 20 wins, a plus 21 goal difference on 66 points.
2 comments. The first one, Ferris and I believed, and Ron did not in that top 4 finish. If I remember correctly, if we roll back the tape.
I did not.
My other is that I love that you said Man City managed to get a third. I just want to be like, good for them. Good for them. Like reaching above. That's good for those guys.
And third comment, Arsenal, always a bridesmaid, never a bride.
Hey, you know what? We haven't gotten there yet. All right. Number 6 has us as Aston Villa. Oh, geez, this gets harder to read as we go down the line, doesn't it? Aston Villa. I can't quite tell if I'm lining this up correctly. We have got 19 wins, goal differential of nope. Yep. I'm on the right one. +7 with 66 points. They were tied with Newcastle, but Newcastle edges them on the goal differential. Then we've got 7. The last slot in Europe, Nottingham Forest. It was a rich man from Nottingham. I'm super stoked for these fine folks. 19 wins for the season, goal differential of 12. They end on 65 points. Then we've got an 8. We've got Brighton, Hove, and Albion, which they managed to. Did they go up? No, they maintained their spot at 8 for that last win they had, with a goal differential of 7 and 61 points. And then AFC Bournemouth, they come in with 15 wins, and they have a goal differential of 12 with 56 points. And then 10, sneaky, pretty good Brentford. Brentford has some good matches and stuff this year. Fun to watch. 16 wins, goal differential of 9 with 65 points, 56 points, tied with Bournemouth, but Bournemouth above them with the goal differential. And that's our last positive goal differential.
Yes, that is the last positive. And we'll get to Villa there making it to Europa League and not Champions League on that played on last day, as well as Forest, who had a chance to make Champions League and failed to at the hands of Chelsea. But they are playing in Europe still for Europa Conference League. But on 0 goal difference, just outside of the top 10 and 11, was Fulham. 15 wins across the course of the season on 54 points. And then the FA Cup winners, Crystal Palace in 12th, will make Europe in a Europa League as they won the FA Cup. We'll get to that here a little later in the pod. They had 13 wins on the season and a even goal difference on 53 points. Everton, what a job David Moyes did when he came in to get them up all the way up to 13th. They had 11 wins on the season with a -2 goal difference and 48 points. 14th place, West Ham United. Bit of a rocky year, especially with Graham Potter in there. We'll see how long he lasts going into next season. But anyways, they had 11 wins as well, but a -16 goal difference and only 43 points. And then in 15th place, they worked themselves up there from 16th to 15th, Manchester United. My poor, sorry, sad lot. 11 wins as well, -10 goal difference. And listen, guys, they hit the 40-point mark at least. They had 42 points.
Barely safe. In 16th place with 12 wins on the season and a -15 goal differential, Wolves in 16th place on 42 points. Then one spot, gentlemen, above the relegation zone, Tottenham Hotspur. Whew.
They're going to take up some time tonight. I feel it already.
Champions League playing in 17th place, Tottenham Hotspur.
Like they're gonna, we'll get there.
Yeah. They've only 11 wins, 22 losses on the season, a -1 goal differential on 38 points. Tottenham, the only team to have lost 22 or more games in a Premier League season and not be relegated. The only
they didn't
one
even hit 40 points either.
No, they didn't hit 40 points.
Nuts. 18th place, Leicester, with only 6 wins on the season, a -47 goal differential. Woof.
Manchester United, points. Wolves, and friggin' Tottenham. So lucky the newly promoted teams were 100%. Awful.
We at least hit 40 points, though. Us and Wolves at least hit the 40-point mark.
19th place, poor Ipswich Town. 4 wins on the season, negative 46 goal differential, and 22 points. And in 19th, they going down. And the lovely Southampton on 20th place in the table, only 2 wins on the season and a staggering negative 60 goal differential. But they only managed to eke out 12 points for the worst team in Premier League history, gentlemen.
So that is 2 wins and 6 draws. That is 30 losses. And we discovered did break the record for quickest out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And that is your Premier League 24-25 season table.
So we want to talk about Villa. That is on the list. I feel like we should talk about Spurs a little too.
Yeah.
Because that is crazy, right? I mean, that is nuts. I mean, talk about like a stat. When are you going to see again? To win the Europa, go to mind you, win Europa against at the time they were
16th place,
16th Man United, right? And Tottenham was 17th, right?
Mm-hmm.
Beat them. Both of these teams get to final. And this is an interesting year, right? Because this is the first year that Champions League teams knocked out of the Champions League don't drop into Europa.
You are correct.
Now,
you are correct. Yeah.
Are we rude in saying if that had happened, I don't know that these two teams would have made it to the final?
Who knows?
It's hard to tell
because that final was not.
To go back now and look to see which teams are going back into that league is a little bit too complicated because it wasn't set up in the group stages that it was, right? It's all in this table format with a round robin. So there's no way to do it anymore unless they did like, hey, you finish the table 11th through 15th, then you go into Europa League. But that was not a thing going into this year. So
that rule changes. So you have that floating around. These two guys meet in the finals, and you're like, oh my God, one of these teams that are in the bottom third of the league, they're gonna go to the Champions League. You know what I mean? And the worst team. I like United struggled, but Spurs were worse for the season. I mean, obviously it's where they ended at. So it's like,
and the final was not a good game.
And they accidentally won the final.
It was like an own goal. It was a really weird. It was not a good game.
I thought that game.
It looked like two teams that were 16th and 17th in their league playing each other.
That game started, and I was like, this is destined. 0-0 penalty kicks. That's where this is going. Like I did not think that it would,
And there was a save off the line from this wild, like high kick save off the line that I just saw that some Spurs fan got tattooed on him.
Yeah,
like,
so you get this weird
bring up the question
1-2 punch of the first being the positive punch of the world going, hey, you know what? They got a trophy. They got in the Champions League. And said he wins stuff in his second year, and there is a more positive vibe. There's, there's like, obviously we're like, hey, it's a trophy. Others are like, it's a trash league, whatever. All that crap as fans are fighting amongst each other. But then Ange a few days later goes and they lose this game 4-1 to Brighton. And as Ron says, that now you've never had a team lose this many games in a third. And so it definitely took a little polish off of that. At the end, I know it's just one match, but if they could have won that match after this on the way out, because now pundit wise, you still have pundits like, I mean, do you think they still get rid of it? It's wild. Like it just throws a crazy spinning of storylines around this situation where there's probably no right answer to guess.
And you got to wonder too, if they were playing a team that was better than Manchester United, would they actually have won it? Right.
Yeah. Like I can't imagine that would have been
Well,
the case.
and they beat nobody going to the actual finals. Like Man United actually beat a few teams going to it, but
see, I think I think that sentence isn't quite on the tip of your tongue if they win that last match against Brighton. I think you're like, hey man, they rode that.
No, I think regardless, you're still going to have that. It's still one of the worst seasons. It's the worst season for Man United and one of the worst seasons for Tottenham, if not the worst. I don't know their history, especially in the Premier League, as long as that. But it does bring the age-old question, though: who had the better season, Tottenham or Arsenal?
Look, you say what you want about that Europa. That's not a better
It's
season.
A trophy. It's a trophy. Once again, just like United last year, the year before that.
It's
a trophyless season.
I'm just saying,
for Arsenal.
Ron, I'm going to stop looking at Ferris. I'm going to look at Ron. Ron, if Arsenal was in 17th and won the Europa League, and Man United was in second, and I said, Ferris, we had a better season, you tell me what Ferris would say to my face, Ron. I can't mute Ferris. I can't.
Okay, so wait, hold on.
No
Let me ask this: who had the better season then, Arsenal or Chelsea?
Different. I was actually going to say, now that is a conversation to be had. Because Chelsea
both
just got the Champions League legit. You know what I'm saying? Okay. As well as they get the trophy of the God. What is that one called?
So Tottenham at least got the Champions League and got a trophy.
No,
did half the work in the league, if not any of the work in the league. They're same thing. They got
that's not the same thing.
And they had
that's not the same thing.
Champions League qualifications.
No,
yes, the same.
Chelsea didn't need.
Chelsea achieved the same thing that Tottenham did this year.
No, Chelsea. No, that's
Arsenal
not true.
Didn't do because they didn't win a trophy.
Chelsea did better than Tottenham. What are you talking about?
No, 100%. But in terms of from where the season ended and what they won, and and where they're playing next season, it's all the same.
Oh, it's not the same, Ferris. This Tottenham team is going to crash out of Champions League so
There's
fast.
There's silverware in the cabinet. They won silverware in the 2024-25 season, and they both will be playing in Champions League next year. Arsenal playing in Champions League next year.
Ron didn't get to answer my question.
That's because he's sitting good either way, and his team did the best out of all of our teams.
Ron didn't get to answer my question. Ron, Arsenal's in 17th. Arsenal's in 17th place. Man United is in second, but Arsenal wins Europa.
That's not
what does Ferris say?
I agree that Ferris would be arguing that the better season was had by Manchester United because there's a little fogginess when it comes to, the way that goes for Ferris.
How so? When have I argued anything else on this pod besides that?
So this is an argument for a non-Premier League wrap-up day because we're going to circle the toilet bowl in this vortex. So let's put a pin in this one, bring it back on the next pod, and let's finish out the craziness of this season. How's that for Switzerland? Yeah, Jacks.
You're actually Belgium at the moment, and you're enjoying it. That's the quad talking the piece to the pod.
Yeah. How about the controversy at Aston Villa? Is it controversy?
I mean, they've made it controversy. I don't think they should have in this case.
I get both sides of it. So if you haven't seen or if you've been under a rock for a while, Villa are playing at Old Trafford on the last day. If Villa win, or in this case, if they would have drawn because everybody else kind of sucked, they would have made Champions League places. It turns out all they needed was a point. They didn't actually need to win. At the time, they would have needed to win and had a few other things occurred. Those few other things occurred. They didn't win, so on and so forth. I think you got to start in the first half. United looked the better of the teams, and Emmanuel Martinez was sent off in the game. And what possibly could be his last game for Villa. in a stupid, huge game to get them back in Champions League. He was sent off in what I don't think anybody can argue was not a red card, especially coming out against Rasmus Højlund, which you haven't known. He can hit the broadside of the barn this season, so the odds of him even scoring on an open net from right in front of net, not very good. But yet he still fouled him, and it was a red card. So they played down for 75%, 70% of the match. And the second half, a ball kind of gets played somehow back to Altay Deyandar. I don't know if I'm saying that right, but that's the backup goalie for Manchester United. And he kind of comes out on what looks to be a routine ball where he's just going to smother the ball. Instead, he does this like one-legged slide thing and kind of positions his hand on either side of the ball, but doesn't necessarily grab the ball. So Morgan Rogers, who's kind of Johnny on the spot, kind of sees this a little bit ahead of time and pokes the ball away. And the ball then goes behind Bayandor, and Rogers then slots it home. But prior to the ball being slotted home, the ref blows the whistle for a foul. Essentially, at that time, the play ends, right? So it goes to VAR. It's then that VAR is looking at it and goes, wait a second. You blew the whistle at that time. We can't intervene past that point. So they couldn't actually make a ruling on the field because the whistle was blown dead on the field of play, if that makes sense. So that's where the controversy kind of came in. 2, 3, 4 minutes later, United score on the other end and then add a second in to make it 2-0. Villa lose. Other things happen. And they lose out to Newcastle United, who also lost on the day, by the way. But because they have a more superior goal difference, they advance and make fifth place and back in the Champions League for them.
So there's kind of two controversies in this, not really one, right? Part A, if you will, is was it a legal ball for Morgan Rogers to poach? So that's one. Two, the play blown dead after the kick, but before the ball reaches the back of the net. Right. So those are your kind of your two. And explained, I follow this incredible referee on Instagram who every like Monday after the games, he puts out the kind of the laws of the game and explains what the rules are and breaks it down for you, why it was or wasn't a correct call. Go ahead, Ferris.
And I'm just going to give him a shout out while you're saying it. It is Refs Need Love 2 on Instagram.
And he's quite incredible because he breaks it down for you in a very unopinionated kind of, I'm going to say cold, because it's just the fact, right?
Just the facts,
X
man.
happened, right? X happened. This is the rule. This is why it's called that way. Have a nice day. There's no emotion about it. There's no, pleading for this or whatever. And basically what it says is that the ball was not legal for Morgan Rogers to poach, even though the goaltender did not physically have his hands on the ball at the time. And that's because it is considered in the possession of the keeper if they have their body placed between the ball or over the ball, and the ball is between them and the ground, between their hands, which in this case it was, and that is considered possession. So you can't poke the ball out and then take it and score. It has to be the goalkeeper fumbled the ball, if you will, and it is out of what is considered their possession for the ball to be live, which is why the ref blows the whistle before the ball crosses the line, because it wasn't a playable ball to Morgan Rogers. And that's kind of how that all sums up. So while Villa certainly feels, like they were done dirty, the laws of the game specifically state that the keeper in that position had possession of the ball.
And to read exact of what he put, a goalkeeper is considered to be in control of the ball with the hands when the ball is between the hands or between the hand and any surface, e.g. ground, own body, or by touching it with any part of the hands or arms, except if the ball rebounds from the keeper, the goalkeeper has made a save.
And there was not a rebound.
No.
So while I feel for Aston Villa, the call on the field was actually correct.
And they did file a complaint with the PGMOL, but it wasn't necessarily about the call. It was that a
inexperienced ref, right?
Inexperienced ref was on the game.
Which
which is, if you look at his track history, this was a ref that nobody, and do we have his name by chance? We'll try to get that, but he's reffed a lot in the championship this season, from a lot of the reports and pods that we listened to, but not a whole lot of Premier League games. And what they're considering is this being a very big Premier League game, despite it being 6th or 7th at the time versus a team in 15th, because Champions League hopes were kind of on there. But I think, Villa had 37 other games to get points to not be in this position. 1, 2, did not did not put themselves in a good state because they had gotten because somebody had gotten sent off in the first half because of something stupid. Right? The game could have ended with them, winning, could have ended them a draw. That would have been good enough. That's all known after the fact, not live in time. Because had Newcastle just won their game, had Nottingham Forest just won their game, had so on and so forth just won theirs. But some of those teams did not. And they all kind of choked along the way. So while all those things that Villa needed to happen occurred, Villa did not do their part and get anything from the game. So
our buddy Matt Call, you made the point that they had other opportunities in the season, and I love
exactly.
Yeah,
yes, he did.
Yeah. So
and it's. I think they can argue the point of an inexperienced ref in this. I think that's fair. I don't think anything's going to come of it in terms of they're not going to get rewarded into the Champions League or points are going to be reinstated or
It's okay, man. They're going to get in Champions. They're going to get in Champions League. Unai Emery is managing a team that's Villa in the name. They win the Europa League when that happens.
That's fair. That's fair.
They got it.
But going into the offseason, they have a lot of PSR rules that they have to comply with.
Yeah.
And that's where I think this really, really, really hurts them because the finances to get into the Champions League allow them to do more on the PSR side of things. Now they're not going to be able to. They will be playing in the Europa League, but that's several hundred of $1 million less to play in that league. So that's where I think they're most upset about probably when it comes down to it. But you got to give credit to Man City here. Crap season, but came out, won their game they needed to there at the end. I don't remember exactly who they played. Chelsea on the road at Nottingham Forest, not an easy place to go, especially this season. Give credit to them coming away with a 1-0 win there, and Forest had their chances. Our boy Chris Wood looked like the Chris Wood of 4 or 5 years ago when he was banging things off the post and not scoring. He just could not get it home. And Newcastle United, better second half of the season. I think they gained more points in the second half of the season. The only other team that gained more than them was Liverpool, who they beat in the Chupacabra Cup. But they lost on the day. But their second half of the season was quite good, and their goal difference shows that at +21, the same as the team in fourth above them. Villa only on +7 was worse than what Nottingham Forest had on +12. So, in the end, did it probably play out, fairly in terms of the totality of the season? probably did in the league table does not lie.
Chelsea back to winning ways in the Champions League. We're going. We'll see what's going to happen. We're going to be completely ill-rested, even though we have a June transfer window that I'm sure we're ready to pounce on another $7 billion. Then we have the Club World Cup. Then we have 2 weeks off before training camp starts for the new Premier League season. We're going to be ragged out.
Just buy another one of your like B teams and sell it to a conglomerate that's owned by Todd Bowley, and then you get the finances and you just buy a whole other team and they'll just play half the season.
There was a joke I saw: spend $1 billion, get a Conference League trophy.
Hey, we are the only English team to have all of the UEFA trophies.
Did this do anything to who gets in Europa any weird way? Like, because championship.
No, I think if they lost, it would have. Right.
Well, because conference would have winners, you get automatic bid into Europa, right?
Yeah,
but because you got into champion, did that open it up for someone somewhere?
No, I don't. I think they only get one. If
Okay.
Chelsea didn't make, I think if Chelsea didn't make the top 4 or any European places, they would get in, and it would have 2 Europa Conference Leagues, right? Because or would have 2 Europa, or one maybe Europa League, and then one maybe 2 Europa Conference Leagues. I don't know if had they have lost something along those lines. But there was always going to be this max number because of all of the English teams playing. Because all of them were doing well in Europe, that's why they got a 5th place, right? But you had this weird scenario where you now have 2 teams in your Europa League because Crystal Palace won the FA Cup. That guarantees a European place in the Europa League. Chelsea, when the Europa Conference won that, they also qualified, so they got into the Champions League. And then Forest was always going to get into the Conference League at that point when they lost. They were guaranteed Europe regardless going in to that final match. They were guaranteed Europe place. It was just where they would finish, whether in Europa League or Champions League place. Because they lost, they didn't jump Villa and Newcastle, who were mainly there in those spots.
It'll be interesting to see because, like, imagine Villa in this year's Europa League. They'd have smoked it, right? Like, I'm curious to see what goes on with the Europa League, because you could see those like 6th place or 5th place, depending on how the year settles, Europa League English teams consistently doing very well in the Europa League. Again, without those Champions League teams dropping down into the equation. I'm just curious over the next 5 years, we see how what happens.
I agree. I think it's going to be interesting because right now you have 9 teams that are going to be in Europe. It's going to be interesting to see how all 6 of those teams in the Premier League, besides your Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man Cities, who, and I would even throw Chelsea in that, who have the squad depth to compete on both sides. Newcastle should do okay, but their squad depth is not quite what it was when they went into it a year or 2 ago, right? Villa, we just talked about their PSR rules. Their depth's not going to be there. They're not going to have the Rashford and the Asensios and some of those loan moves that they're going to have. They're going to have to comply. They're going to have to sell another big name here on the offseason. Remember, they sold or two, right? And then Forest, their first time back in Europe in a while. If you remember, a year ago, they were docked points because of some PSR stuff. So they necessarily haven't been squeaky clean to get to this point. They're going to have to comply with PSR. So they're all getting money to go into Europe, the different sides, but it's going to be interesting when you have basically almost half of the league playing in Europe. Palace, right? Palace is a team that yes, they're in a Europe. They finished in 12th. Are they going to have the squad depth? Are they going to be able to build? Are they going to be able to compete in those midweek games? That is going to be interesting when you have almost half of the league playing in Europe next season. That we'll see how that plays out. Does that give, say, for instance, the relegated teams a chance next year, where the past few seasons they've come up, they've gone straight back down.
Well, I mean,
does that maybe give them a chance if they nick some games early?
That's not quite true, though.
I don't know.
In the past 3 seasons, 3 out of the 2 they went up and down, but one of those seasons they all went up and stayed.
Yeah, but it's more common that a majority of them go back down than they do stay up. So I think it's going to be an interesting season going into going into what is a few months away, right? They'll probably kick off sometime early August. You gotta commend. I know we didn't talk about it a lot right now, but you gotta commend Liverpool finishing 10 points above second place, plus 45, golden boot with Salah and a new head coach. Right?
Yeah.
Yes, he was left a very solid team, but they didn't do a lot in the summer last year. They might have to this summer, right? They're already having some names tossed around. For Mpongs and for Trent Alexander-Arnold, who's going to be on his way, probably going to Madrid, as we talked about in the past pod. You have possibly Florian Wirtz of Bayern Leverkusen talked about coming in to bolster their attacking midfield there. Maybe a few others, right, that are talked about. So I think they're going to make some moves in the summer and possibly get even stronger. They know how to play on both fronts. Can they repeat? Can they win another title next year? Possibly. What's Arsenal going to do? Is Arsenal finally going to get a number 9? Are they finally going to get somebody that can put the ball in the back of the net on a consistent level?
We just signed someone, not officially, but Fabrizio Romano was like, here we go for.
Yeah, but I don't think it's a big number 9. That
no, it's not number 9. It's Isak,
who's been talked about in the past with them. Morata, not him, but I can't think of any names offhand.
Oh, Zubamende.
Manchester City.
That's who they signed. Zubamende.
Who?
Zubamende.
It's in the cards, right?
Yeah.
He was a midfield prospect that denied. He said no to Liverpool last season. Will he want to come this year to Arsenal? We'll see.
Well, he's set for a medical, so
there you go.
Looks done.
Man City, you expect them to be stronger next year. No KDB. They're going to have to bolster the defense, bolster the midfield, possibly get another attack or 2 in there. They may have to trim the fat a little bit too. We'll see. I'll see. Back in Europe, similar thing that they'll be doing in Champions League. Harder teams, though, expelling more energy. What's your head coach's name again, Ron?
Maresca.
Will he be able to balance those high profile games of going into the Champions League with the league going into this year? So you have a lot of talking.
No one knows what a year 2 under Maresca looks like because he's never had one.
Right. So there's a lot of talking points here. Will some of your teams down there in the bottom, where your Tottenhams get stronger, where your Man United's get stronger, where your teams that have been mid-table in the past, your Palaces, your Nottingham Forests, your Villas, your Brightons, will they, go up the table more? Will they balance these tournaments and these more games more, or will they start to kind of slowly start to go down because of the more games? So a lot of talking points coming out of the season, and I think a lot of talking points as we get into the summer and into next year, following the World Cup, and even during then, when you can still sign and move players all throughout June here.
Guys, look at our Fabian's Fanatics chat for the Club World Cup. Look at the landing page for FIFA.
Oh my God! It's just.
I don't even know what that is, Ron.
It is flipping 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Messi's shooting a bow and arrow. All right. I hate FIFA.
And the only reason
in a Miami
is there is because they want him to be able to try and win the FIFA Club World Cup.
Anyways. Well, on that note, shall we get to our bestest of the season, just like we did in our first pod?
Yeah, sorry, we're a little behind on our timeline, but I actually don't think. I think we'll move quickly through some of these. So we're a little behind, but I think we'll catch up.
Oh yeah, we're really behind. Oh,
yeah.
Sorry, I didn't know that time.
But no, all good stuff. This is our bestest of the seasons. We did this on our first pod. I believe these have always been part of it. As Ferris has put together our Tres Mementos for our best 3 months of the season, best game of the season, best goal of the season, best player of the season, and best player of the season for your club. Before we get into how bad our predictions were. All right, gentlemen, how do you want to do this?
Let's go in turns for our 3 moments, one at a time.
All right.
Blake, kick us off.
All right, so best 3 moments. I don't have these in particular order, but I'll go with this one. This is a good first one. This is not a moment. Can I call it Blake's top vibe? It'll be my first moment. Just an unpredictable season. The Big Six was completely altered. It was, other than pretty much understanding that the relegation battle was weirdly set for quite some time. But even then, early on, guys, I mean, Everton was screwed. These guys might lose it out this year. And then they ended up mid-table. Like, this was just a really fun, unpredictable season that I think makes the Premier League, make other European leagues this year not look as good, because I think the Premier League really shown for its competitiveness across the board. So my moment would in general just be the season. This was a lot of fun, even though, a relegation battle or the fight for the first place on the last day match or two is fun. We didn't have that, but stuff like this Villa match with Man City and things like that, Nottingham Forest almost getting into the Champions League on those this was an awesome season. So to me, that is my top moment / vibe for the overall season. This was a delight.
What you got, Ferris?
It's tough. It's a tough season for me, as you guys know. So hard to find the bright points.
Well, we didn't say moments for your club.
No. But I'll. Man, there's been a lot of moments. I'll say one moment that I think made us all happy, and it wasn't one moment particularly. It was like a moment over a few games, a few matches, was the downfall of Man City. The downfall of some games.
Thank you for saying it.
Oh,
I didn't.
They would have won, or they should have won. They haven't won.
Yeah.
And Pep kind of getting squirrely there on the sidelines, getting a little irritated with the media and this, that. So that would probably be one of my 3 moments there.
All right, my first one is stay humble, my friends.
Oh,
Erling Haaland tells Arteta to, quote, stay humble after Man City's 2-2 draw, Arsenal on September 22nd. The incident occurred when John Stones' late equalizer in the gasping, wheezing breath of stoppage time comes to a close. This starts the slide of Man City's season. Again, it was on September 22nd, so early in the season. Before that incident, Man City won the Shield, had 4 wins and a draw. They end the season with 21 wins, 8 draws, 9 losses.
Would Haaland go on to regret that statement? The narrator says he would.
What's your second moment, Blake?
To tune of 4-1. Hey, on that note, Ron, let me raise a drink for you. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to get a second beer here on this pod, and I'll do it raised with it. So, a new pod, a new beer for the pod, new brewery. This is where I work now. We have a thing called the Swashbuckler Brewing Company. We've moved up to 40. Well, actually, they've gotten a whole lot bigger now. We're at 4,500 barrels annually. It's the official brewery of the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair. And this beer won the 2022 PA Farm Show beer competition, in case you're wondering. But I mentioned this to you guys the other day. This is the Otra Mas. This is our classic Mexican style lager. It's an exceptionally smooth, easy body with a sweetness derived from the 20% flaked corn used in the brew. Following the standards of the style, it has a pale yellow color with a touch of bitterness and classic spicy aroma. Perfect refreshment. This beer finishes super clean and will make you reach for otra más. And it is a super sessionable, like 3.7% Mexican lager. So I'm gonna pour one of these.
Mexican lager.
Yeah, so Mexican lager 2 for me. So
I like it.
In a row. I know I was decided to do something else, but then I thought, you know what? I'll stick with these. Slightly more straw colored than the previous one.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll let that head settle for a second and answer about my second one. So, my second moment is a dude, a man, a gentleman, a person with promise that got maligned in other situations, been canned and sacked from other clubs. But my other favorite moment of this unpredictable season, one of my favorites, is a gentleman by the name of Nuno Espirito Santo, the manager of Nottingham Forest. Holy crap, Nottingham Forest. It is, in one hand, a shame they didn't manage to pull off to get into that Champions League at the end. No one should look at it as because if they had been fighting to get into 7th the whole season, it still would have been like, holy God, what an amazing. I'm talking about clubs that had gotten promoted and managed to stay. They managed to stay, and then they do this. They fight for a European space. They get one. They were amazing all season long. No one wanted to play Nottingham, and Nuno was awesome. I think following Nottingham and just their whole season is another one of my absolute favorite moments of the season. Nottingham, I hope you keep kicking butt for a few years to come now.
And it is quite evident that Nuno is more professional than the owner.
Oh, yes. Yeah. See, that sucks from that owner, too, because, to overshadow that stuff is really frustrating. But, man, what a manager.
And random, you see that Nottingham Forest just exiled, restricted. He can't come anymore. Gary Neville, they banned him from the... come on. That's so petty.
Look, just know.
That's petty.
Basically, that's not petty. Every club should do this.
And there is a history of English clubs doing this in the past, so it's not necessarily unprecedented, as Gary Neville said, but still, it's a little childish to be like, you can't come here anymore. And he was supposed to go there for TNT Sports at the end or something. I don't remember what he
Stop being a jerk.
What did Gary Neville say that was that bad?
He just opens his mouth.
Yeah, but he's a pundit. He's the same thing as.
Why aren't the other pundits that way?
They all are. Jeremy Carragher is?
No, but he's a special
Nico
kind
Richards?
of d-bag. Let's just.
I agree. He's a spiteful prick.
Yes. Oh God.
Listen, he has more Premier Leagues than your guys clubs combined.
Who cares?
Who cares? He works hard. So do washing machines. Next.
My second best of the moment. Nottingham Forest saying no to Gary. No. I was gonna go. Is it Eric Ten Hag getting sacked and Ruben Amorim coming in? Is that a good moment? But seems a little harsh. And or is it? I recently got my fidelity vote on the board survey for my 7 shares. Best moment for me was being at the Orlando Pride match last week with Tony Sounds Good, and I got to vote for the Man United board after about 7-8 times of doing this. They still haven't heard me out yet. The Glazers are still there. But yes, a big change for Man United was a big moment for my club personally. But I'll say a moment kind of in the way that City is you saw these teams to what, Blake, to your point, Nottingham Forest, your Brighton and Hoves, your Bournemouth, your Fulhams. You saw these teams kind of go from mid-table to relegation almost to now going up there and battling for Champions League places for a large majority of the season. And
but not Nottingham.
I think that was a fun that allowed us to get very fun moments throughout the season.
Yes,
in several games. Forest, in particularly, won a couple of 1-0 games over Liverpool, over Arsenal, I think, over some of these teams that were high up there to give themselves a chance. Yes, they didn't quite get where they wanted to in the end there, but if you asked a Forest fan at the beginning of the season, here's where you end up, they would have snapped your arm off, right? Same with Palace fans. So I think those gave us a lot of moments throughout the season. So that's probably my second is these mid-table clubs really shooting above their weight and doing very, very good this past season. Excuse me.
Nice. I hope Nottingham wins the conference next year. That'd be rad.
Here. All right, my second of the season. Leicester 2, Southampton 0 in a bizarre match when David Webb, who was the ref, was bowled over by Jordan Ayew and was laying on the ground holding his head. Jamie Vardy grabbed his whistle and blew the play dead.
Oh, yeah, that was just a few weeks back. Yeah.
Vardy later tells BBC Sport, I saw Southampton breaking down the left with the ref down. I thought I'd blow the whistle and stop the game. Only Jamie Vardy.
And then the man goes and gets his 200th goal in 500 appearances, right? Like right after for his last match with Leicester.
Incredible.
Great
moment this season.
What is it? Chris?
Beers and chips on the plane.
Yeah.
Beers and chips on the plane, mate.
Oh, man.
Number 3, Blake.
Oh, God. I didn't even think about it. We didn't even talk about that. We've been doing this for 8 years. Our first was Jamie Vardy winning a Premier League. Now we've had his last season. Dang.
And now he's retired. Well, now he's no longer with the club. This is his last
that's
season.
what I'm saying. Wow. And they were relegated.
MLS.
They were relegated.
Mm-hmm.
He's coming to MLS.
Well, yeah.
Or the news is he's going to Wrexham, who are promoted to the championship. We'll see.
That would
be a great shout.
Be
right?
Rad.
That'd be great.
Yep. He might fit in too well. I mean, that's just, you know what? That's just smart marketing because he's going to be good on that show.
100%.
Whether he scores the goals or not, if
they can pull that off, absolutely.
He will have a whole new career because of being on that show when people get to know him.
100%.
And then when he's done with Wrexham, he'll be
like, people know him. Like if you're even I would say like a minor to avid, like Premier League or European, especially in the England soccer fan, you've heard of Jamie Vardy, right? But now that show opens you up to like the moms, the aunts, your cousin, your uncle, there's American football here, but you know what? I like them there, Wrexham over there. They be wrecking things and they be scoring goals.
Ron will give this reference.
It opens up to everything.
Ron will give this reference where I work, but the lady who is like the head of marketing at where I work is going to know who Jamie Vardy's name is. And that blows my mind once he's on Wrexham. Oh my God.
It might not be too far of a shout. I mean, look, Foster came out of retirement and goaltended for them for 2 seasons, right? Like,
my word. That's awesome. My third, right?
Yes.
All right, Ron, here's one for you, buddy. Cole Palmer FC versus Brighton Hove Albion, September 28. You score 4 goals in 1 half and you create 4 chances. I mean, my God, why do you even need the rest of the team? Cole Palmer alone is the reason you're in 4th place off of the first half of the season.
Agreed.
But that was insane.
No argument there.
He certainly did his patent cold trade in the second half of the season, but you know what?
Yeah, but he
first
managed
half of the season
to get high enough. It was fine. We're good. Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The thing is, the first half of the season, Maresca was letting them play as they knew to play while he was working his system in. The second half of the season was mostly his system, and we were dreadful until the very end. So I think you just revert to what we were doing the first thing and Maresca ball. Thanks very much.
You heard
but
it
I
here
digress.
first.
Ferris, what's your third?
Again, it's kind of a wrapped up, but it involves 2 Premier League teams, Newcastle United and Crystal Palace. Both have not won. Have not won a major trophy ever. One hasn't won since a very, very long time. But Newcastle United in the League Cup, and I don't remember what the actual name of it is, Caribou Cup, and Crystal Palace just recently here in the FA Cup beating Man City. Yes, a little bit of controversy there. We won't get into that at this time, but their first cup, both just the scenes that you're getting these teams, as I just kind of talked about, that are mid-table that don't usually win anything, them having these huge moments, putting silverware in their cabinet, in their history, in their clubs, to go through and win these against Titans too, right? Because Newcastle beat Liverpool in the League Cup, and Crystal Palace beat Man City in the FA Cup. So, again, a loudest moments, yes, not in the league, but involves some Premier League clubs that I think was an awesome moment throughout the season, and my third moment.
Nice. My third moment of the season takes place at the very end of the season, when half of the Liverpool team is trying to put the crown back on the Premier League trophy during celebration, because Mo Salah took it off and wore the crown. It took like 6 players to try and figure out how to put that thing back on.
They should have just left it on his head.
It was hilarious. The best. You can kick a ball, but you are not mechanically inclined, my friends. Hilarious.
Before we move to the best game of the season, can I have a wish for moments next year to just put in this pod? A desire, a wish?
Shoot.
These are great moments. We've listed great moments. And again, I said it was a great season, but my God, in our 8 years of doing this.
Hold on, wait, real quick. This would be where like a sponsor, if somebody wants to sponsor us to come in, you know,
Yeah,
like I wish for a great moment. This would be when, like, you know,
2 great moments.
Yeah.
1, we love a sponsor. 2,
yes.
my wish for next year is, can we please upgrade these moments? And what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen, script writers of the Premier League who are probably listening, I need more moments of a Louis van Gaal that looks like he gets shot from a Call of Duty sniper and falls on the ground. A Jose Mourinho type that runs his mouth. Jamie Vardy saying it's all mine, it's all effing mine. I need some of that magic back in the Premier League, because right now we got a lot of serious managers and stuff. And we need some more fun. We need like Sam Allardyce munching on a pie.
We need debauchery.
Yes.
We need yes.
Like,
we need some that have had a few pints and want to talk about gambling to you know, when they're on a hidden camera. Yeah, absolutely.
that is my wish, dream, and desire.
100%.
Because this has been a great sport, Premier League season. It's a little lacking for me on the entertainment value out of some of that kind of stuff that we haven't gotten.
I mean, there's kind of 2 moments that come to mind for that. And one is Arsenal beating Man City, and the fans were chanting and talking smack to Pep Guardiola, who then shows like, don't worry, I've got 6 trophies. What have you got?
Yeah.
Which was an incredible moment for him. And then Leicester versus Newcastle. Leicester is up 1-0, drops it down to 2-1. And when the fans start giving Jamie Vardy some hell, he's like, I have a Premier League title. What have you got?
Yeah.
Brilliant. 2 brilliant moments.
But Vardy has got, Peps is like, you cracked the veneer. Vardy has got more of a vibe about him that's just, that's what I want. I want more of that.
Yeah, so that my field of is barren.
Yes. Oh my God, that just made me happy. Okay, now we can move on. Best game of the season. Best match of the season. I have a theory we could be very united in this.
Okay. Do you want me to go first?
Go for it.
I think it has to be the last Merseyside derby at Goodison Park.
I'm going to stop you right there and say that's also my vote.
Beautiful.
I had a feeling.
Just absolute scenes. Tarkovsky with that goal. That is one moment that will just live in infamy at that club, and I think it's just wild against Premier League leaders and last Merseyside derby at Anfield or at Goodison Park and yada yada yada, and just kind of go through it all. That was probably my best match.
That was history. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like that.
Yeah. End of a gigantic era.
Yeah. When you go visit the stadium sometime later, or the new stadium on a tour, that thing will be playing on a video somewhere in one of the exhibits or whatever. Like that. Yep. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I had a runner-up match just in case.
Did you do that one
And-
too?
Yeah.
I love it. I
There
love
we go.
it. Yeah.
You're right, you're right.
But my runner-up match is a spiteful one that we can all get behind, in my opinion. November
It
23rd,
involves Man City somehow. That's all I know.
Man City 0, Spurs 4.
Yes.
In a strange, funny, weird, incongruent match during which Spurs keeper Vaquero played more than 45 minutes on a broken ankle.
God, that's still Man City 4-0 to Tottenham. Tottenham in 17th
They only
place.
won 11 games on the season.
Jeez, man.
Let's go through their stats again. They 11 wins, 5 draws, 22 losses. One of those not being Man City, by the way.
And Man City, okay, the other season one is great. They still ended in third. I mean,
now, in fairness, they had a -1 goal difference because Tottenham scored 64, but they also led in 65 goals. So there's that.
man.
Yeah.
Wild.
Oh, wild.
Absolutely. Hi, geez.
Fair shout there, Ron.
Good one. Where does that get us?
Best goal of the
best
season.
goal. All right. Are you
I'll go first again, just because I saw it the other day and I forgot about it. But it was Jared Bowen's goal against Liverpool. I don't know the date, don't know the time, but he volleyed that thing up to himself and then turned around and smacked it top corner. What a lovely goal. I don't know how the game ended. Couldn't even tell you, but I was watching something that went through just like the top 10 goals, and that was like, wow, that was the one that stood out to me as like a really, really awesome goal.
Nice. Blake?
I had two that I was kind of bouncing between. You know what? I've given Man City a ton of crap, so I'll give it to Man City. Omar Marmoush.
Yeah.
That
That's a good shout.
30-yard strike that
Mhm.
looked like it was going to go over, and then like a knuckleball dropped in the last to get into the net. Was wild. But that was also Kevin De Bruyne's last or farewell to the Etihad Stadium. What a flipping goal. That was against the Cherries. That was beautiful. That's a work of art.
My best goal of the season, Friday, May 16th, Chelsea versus Manchester United. Reece James does a lovely pirouette that leaves Garnacho wondering, where in the world is Carmen Sandiego? As he cuts across and puts that ball perfectly on the wonderfully haired forehead of Cucurella, who puts the ball past the Man United keeper for the only goal of the match, which is a critical 3 points on their quest to Champions League football for next year. There you go.
My mother shout was Karu Mitoma, the Brighton versus Chelsea match. That
Screamer of a goal.
Yes,
Yeah.
Mhm.
That was
That was my runner-up.
Yeah, that also a good one.
Just that pirouette is so beautiful. Garnacho runs 12 zip codes past him. It's great.
All right, that moves us to best player. Hey, I got a quick audible for you, real quick. Who's your best manager of the season?
Nottingham Forest manager named
Nuno.
Espirito
You know,
Santo,
I talked about him earlier as a fair. I'm gonna give a shout at David Moyes because
that's fair.
I think him pulling Everton up
Saving
from where they
Everton
were
up.
was
Yeah.
pretty friggin' amazing, especially for a dude coming in at this point in his career like he did. Anyway,
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
one I wanted to throw out there. So anyway, so now we're to best player of the season.
I'll go first. I don't think I have yet.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be sound cliche, but I think you got to give it to Mohamed Salah for 29 goals, the Golden Boot, and he's the assist leader. 18 assists on the season. I think you got to go that route.
Because it's my vote, can I throw one more stat in there for you that I found?
Yeah.
Only 2 players won more than 15 one-on-ones in the defensive box. Man City, a dribble master, Jeremy Doku, had 18, and Salah had 28. Best scorer, best power passer, and best dribbler. Good. And by the way, always good, but in the last couple of years, He's 32, 30, you know, it was slowing down a little bit. Like, this is bonkers. Like, he was always good. When we say he'd slow down a little bit, he was still good, but to jump back up like he has, amazing.
I agree. I think just to be contrarian, I would go Van Dyke. Started 37 to 38, games for them. Just an absolute stalwart at the back. I think the times that Liverpool have been very, very good, he stayed healthy the entire season. Yes, Salah's banged in goals and that sort of thing, and I think he had a phenomenal season. So I agree, but the big man at the back has been a game changer for them and is one of the world's best defenders. And I think he has to go down as just being absolutely just a rock back there. So that would be my kind of contrarian pick.
And that's the thing, isn't it? That's the thing moving forward. I know he's signed, to stay around Salah, but like you remove either one of those guys, and the point is very different, for Liverpool. So look forward to seeing what Slot can manage to pull off next year and to see if these dudes can hold on one more go around.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, man. Like that's 32 and pulling off all that. And what's Van Dijk's age right now?
His age?
Yeah.
He is 33 years old.
Yeah. So the old men of the league, friggin' just amazing. They are amazing. But at least
right, Blake. So
who's
the best player for your club, Blake?
I think it's going to be someone you guys aren't going to guess that I pick. Maybe. So I'm going to go with Miles Lewis Skelly. And I realize like he did not play as much as some other players, but he comes on at 17 years old against Man City in the infamous Stay Humble match. The last 20 some minutes of the match, to help hold on. He goes in for Timber. And he gets and look, here's the other thing about how this kid, he's gonna be great for Arsenal. He received a yellow card from Michael Oliver before his debut from the bench, before he got on to the pitch. So that right there, I mean, you have Arsenal in your blood. Michael Oliver is just, you're 17. Here's a yellow. You haven't even hit the pitch yet. But he came on, and I think this is a little shout out to Mikel Arteta too, in the sense that like some people can get a start too early and really F up their career, and he's been great. Like he's come in and been very good. On 2nd of February, he scored his first goal for Arsenal in the 5-1 victory against Man City. So, which is great because the other famous thing that Haaland said, you know what it was in that 2-2 draw, Ron? Miles Lewis Skelly was subbed on, and Haaland reportedly asked who the he was when he walked out on the pitch. Awesome. Sort of making fun of him. So for him to score in that 2-2 or sorry 4-1 win was, or 5-1 victory was pretty huge. And then he infamously did the meditation celebration. That's why he did it, because Haaland had said that about him at the match. At first he did it, and I was like, that's cheeky, but I didn't realize that had been a thing that was said. And then he also went on to, he was the youngest, I believe he had the youngest debut for an England player playing for the Three Lions, and had an opening goal 20 minutes into the match against Albania for a qualifying World Cup match. So there are players, you could argue over the season did more, but I am really excited about that kid, and seeing some future for the club. So I'm gonna go with Miles Lewis Skelly on this one.
I think if I had unlimited money, I would fly a plane that had a banner behind it around Haaland's house for the rest of his life that said "Stay humble."
Oh my God, yes.
I think I would do that. Ferris, best player for your club this season. I mean,
and why is it Harry Maguire?
right?
I was going to go Fallon Tullis-Joyce. Nobody said it had to be a men's player.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Or the entire Manchester, United women's squad who got back in the Champions League. Maya Letitia can get in there. Elizabeth Turland, great signing. Grace Clinton came in, did well, plays a whole bunch of positions. Anyways, I think it's hard to, obviously, absolutely crap season. But it has to be Bruno Fernandes. Once again, leads in everything, including the Premier League in terms of chances created in this sort of thing, despite the season and whatnot. A lot of argument as to why he should be the captain or whatnot, but he does lead on the pitch from what he produces. And how he can change games. So I think it has to be him. But that's my player, Bruno Fernandes.
For Chelsea, I think it's got to be, in my opinion, Moises Caicedo. He really steps in and this season kind of comes into his own in a Conte-esque way to boss the midfield. Was really good at pinging balls around, creating opportunities, finding that unusual pass that none of the defenders are looking at. Just was an incredible boss in the midfield. And then I think if you have to sub someone else, it would be Cole Palmer, 15 goals, 8 assists.
What's next? Caicedo looked like a bust initially, a complete and utter bust. So it'll be interesting to see if he can maintain that. I agree with it. The Conte comparison, I think, is a good shout. See if he can hold on. Because remember that looked like an absolute bust of a 90 million sign or whatever it was. I mean, and that's really turned out to work.
Also, it's because I think everyone was misusing Fernandes in the midfield, which really stymied Moises Caicedo.
I'm surprised you didn't say João Felix was your top player.
Oh, my God. Move on.
Speaking of busts.
What a bust, yeah.
Yeah. Look, if you buy that many players, it's okay if 3 of them bust because
In fairness, how many people would remember he was even there?
Probably not many.
So while researching this and going through top 10 lists of other people and stuff, I came across top busts and I went, "Oh right, João Felix."
I'm not gonna lie to you, I
forgot about that
as well.
If I had looked at that today, I never would have brought it up because that dude was so far from memory of even being in the Premier League.
I was more of the pay no attention to the man behind the curtain kind of. Well, let's just shove him out of the way for now.
One of 74 people that play on the wing or an attacking position for
78, please.
Yeah, that's fair.
All right, Ferris, have you got our how bad our predictions did?
Oh man, I sure do. Let's see here. I'll kind of run this quickly. We both are all bridesmaids and never the bride because we all picked Arsenal to win the league. That did not happen. Once again, they placed.
I forgot everybody did that. Yeah, I forgot.
Yeah. We also all picked Man City second. Not far off. They were third, but okay. Let's see. Blake probably the closest. Actually, Ron and Blake. I think you guys won this one. Ferris, me, absolutely lost because I had Arsenal, Man City, Man United, Tottenham. That failed miserably. But Blake had Arsenal, Man City, Newcastle, Liverpool, while not in that order in top 4 necessarily. All did make Champions League. Ron had Arsenal, Man City, Liverpool, Chelsea. Again, not in that order, but all did make Champions League. As we know, it was not just the top 4, the proverbial top 4 we talk about. There's 5 places for Champions League. Liverpool, Arsenal, Man City, Chelsea, and Newcastle all finished there in the Champions League places. So what we consider, the top 4, that sort of thing. Golden Boot, Ron and Blake swept that again. Both had Salah. Wonderful job. He had 29 goals. He had first. I had Dominic Solanke, 26th with 9 goals. He had a bit of a bust and nowhere near the season I thought he was going to have.
But we were all praying for Chris Wood.
He was injured for a good portion of
for
the
a
season.
bit, yeah, but still 9 goals. You expected double digit for bringing in somebody of that caliber and what he cost.
Wait, who
first
was
manager sack?
Who was 26 goals? You said
29 goals. Sorry, Solanke was number 26 in the ranking of goals.
Copy. Gotcha. Sorry.
Alexander Isak was second in the Golden Boot with 23. Erling Haaland third on 22, and Brian Mbembo and Chris Wood both tied in fourth on 20 goals.
Good job, Chris Wood.
Yep.
Stay humble.
Blake hit this nail right on the head, as Erik ten Hag was the first manager sacked. But do you remember when he was sacked?
It didn't this take a bit. We had a bit before a manager got sacked.
You are correct. Yeah,
November,
October 28th.
Okay, October.
So yeah, you weren't far off. But Blake was absolutely correct with Erik ten Hag, formerly of Manchester United, might be of Bayern Leverkusen. I think they announced him as their new head coach. Oh Lord, what's his name, is going over to Madrid. Anyways.
I wonder if he's going to take a winning team and grind him into the dirt.
God only knows.
That wasn't him, man. He inherited. He's got it with it. Anybody at Man United, you've walked into a weird situation. That ain't just Ten Hag, I'll say.
Sorry, I'm texting Matt Callback because the Panthers just advancing. It was back to back in the Eastern Conference Finals. Said, welcome to what a real team in Florida does, i.e. the Tampa Bay Lightning did that a few seasons ago.
Against my Hurricanes. There's his face. It's great right now. It's like, he couldn't even wait. It's like, yes, son of a...
Yep. Where does that leave us? Getting relegated. So who got relegated was Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton. Blake, you had 2 out of the 3. I had 2 out of the 3, and Ron had 1 of the 3. So I think me and Blake win. Blake had Ipswich, Leicester? Southampton, which was correct, and then you had Wolves, which is not far off. I had Southampton, Leicester, and it was very far off with Nottingham Forest.
You are a fool if you don't think one of my picks is Spurs last year after this end.
Ron had Wolves, Ipswich, which was his only correct one, and Bournemouth. I'm surprised you go Southampton, to be honest. But
I normally do, but when I guess them, they stay on.
But when you don't, it's the times that they get relegated. I'm like, you are dangerous. Yep. Ron, don't pick Spurs to get relegated.
I will. I'll pick Arsenal.
Well, that means we'll win. Yeah, do that. Yeah.
And the last thing was our Leicester-ish prediction, going back to the first year we did this pod, when Leicester beat the odds and won the Premier League. Blake and I were Blake was probably the closest. He had Bournemouth fighting for a European spot. They were close for a vast majority of the season. Went away there at the end. Ron had Everton in Europe. Did not happen. And they weren't really close all season. I had Tottenham winning the league. They did not win the league, but they won Europa and got into the Champions League.
Could you imagine though if
that's like a quarter of a point for me.
Nobody thought. We didn't say a word about.
It's Leicester's prediction, right? They ended up in 17, so it's certainly Leicester's prediction.
We didn't say anything about Forest. That's still just the one that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
It's gonna make the Leicester-ish prediction next year difficult for the upcoming season.
It certainly is. And before we go to Ron's beer news, I'm going to crack my second beer of the pod from Tripping Animals. It is In Bocca al Lupa, which is a Italian style Pilsner. 4.5%. Yep. See there, gentlemen.
Oh, that art's great too, man.
Yeah.
Love the little Romulus wolf, maybe. That's what that is. Yeah, that's cool.
Mm-hmm. So, Ron, take us into the beer news, my friend.
All right, gentlemen. As soon as Ferris pours his beer, we have to raise a toast to Oscar Wong.
All right.
Who?
The founder of Highland Brewing Company and the godfather of Asheville, North Carolina craft beer, died Sunday, May 25th. The brewery confirmed. He was 84.
We do not want to pour one out for our homies. We drink one for our homies.
To you, Oscar.
To you, Oscar.
So one of the cooler things about the gig I did in Tennessee is we had a tap takeover from Highland, and even though Oscar had stepped away from operations, him and his wife came out and hung out and answered questions and stuff. He was super cool, dude.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great.
Awesome,
very responsible for making the Western Carolina, the Colorado or San Diego of the Southeast. Like, super cool gentleman. I mean, I was like, at one point I was like, hey, I'm just a bit of a beer nerd. Now that this is wrapping up, can I talk to you for a second? And he was just so pleasant and cool to chat with. Highland Brewing Company, if you've never had their beers, they're outstanding. If you've ever had the opportunity to go to Asheville, see what he created, tours of the brewery are absolutely awesome. And the beer's top notch, and there's a couple of different spots you can go. Like there's a great tap room in the downtown area, but then the brewery itself is really, really cool. And I think probably one of the beers they're most well known for, though I like a lot of their different beers, but their oatmeal stout is a very famous one from those guys.
Yeah. So a little bit about Mr. Oscar Wong. After retiring from an engineering career, Wong founded Highland Brewing Company, which was Asheville's first legal craft brewery since Prohibition. And he did that in 1994. Over the years, he played a critical role in establishing Asheville as a nationally renowned craft beer hub. Highland Brewing has since become the largest family-owned brewery rooted in the southeastern portion of the United States. Today, the brewery attracts over 250,000 visitors annually and remains an essential part of Asheville's craft beer community. Wong passed leadership of the brewery to his daughter, Leah, in 2015. She made a very emotional post on Facebook, and I quote, "My sweet pop, Mom and I were at his side. No amount of time would be enough, but his spirit is everywhere." His contributions to Asheville's beer scene also earned him the nickname of the Godfather of Asheville craft beer, as well as a recognition, national, like a Lifetime Achievement Award from the Brewers Association. In 2023, Wong was awarded the Order of the Longleaf Pine, which is the highest honor granted by the governor of North Carolina. The city of Asheville and Buncombe County subsequently officially declared May 16 as Oscar Wong Day in the state. Many Asheville breweries and community leaders have also taken to social media to praise him and share their condolences. One stating, "The Oscar was a mountain of a man, putting Asheville on the map to what it is today." That was a quote from the mayor of Asheville. "We will miss him, and he always had a bright smile, kindness of heart, and an investment in our community. Our hearts go out to his family."
If I may, gentlemen, since he was a member of the Order of the Longleaf Pine, do you guys know where that comes from? Do you guys know?
The longleaf pine?
Yeah, do you know what?
No, I don't.
That order? All right, well, then here's the toast. We're going to now really do the toast to Mr. Oscar Wong, because here is the official North Carolina state toast that I had to memorize when I was a kid in school.
Okay.
"Here's to the land of the longleaf pine, the summer land where the sun doth shine, where the weak grow strong and the strong grow great. Here's to down home, the old North State."
That's awesome. Cheers.
Oh, Ron, I think we got muted, buddy.
And that is how you push the mute button.
That bums me out. I did not catch that news, and I really liked meeting him. He was so cool and excited. You could tell now that he was sort of stepped away from operations. He just got to be, I don't know, a rock star about it and just have fun and talk about it. You know, that's a real shame. Yeah, that was a cool dude. That was a cool dude.
Sad day in the world of beer.
All right, Ferris, you gonna bring us home?
Sure thing. Blake, it's the LeagueA's Roundup. All right. Let me give you a little talk about how the rest of the top 5 leagues in Europe did. Start off in the Serie A. where Napoli, 82 points, nipped the Scudetto over Inter. 82 points to 81. And who was their star man who won MVP of the season? Scott McTominay, the Scotsman, former Man United, who sold him in the offs. The wrong midfielder we sold. Like 10 goals, a handful of assists. The dude was legendary for him. He will never have to pay for a coffee or a pasta or a pizza in Napoli ever again. God, this Italian Pilsner's good too. They might be my new favorite teams in Italy. Not really. My Inter Milan team just couldn't quite get there in the end. They had 81 points and 1 point behind Napoli. They do play in the Champions League final, though, coming up this Saturday, which I will be cheering for and wearing my Inter kit. Atalanta finished in third on 74 points, and then Juventus finished in fourth with 70 points, 1 point above Roma. And on the last day, they won this with a 3-2 win over Vesnia, who are a bit of ways down. But it was a 73rd minute pen by Manuel Locatelli, and he celebrated like he just won the league. But that goal to make it 3-2 on the day got them that point, those 3 points that they needed, and just above Roma. So Napoli, Inter, Atalanta will be your Champions League teams going into next season in the Serie A.
Inter question is, what's Christian Pulisic going to do with the manager change?
You mean in AC Milan? That's a very good point.
Sorry, AC Milan.
Yes, because AC Milan will not be playing in Europe, similar to my Manchester United. They have no Europe for them next season. They finished in 8th. Pulisic probably the best player for them this season if it breaks down to that. But yeah, finished in 8th. It's interesting there. So yeah, very good shout there, Ron. Over in La Liga, Barcelona, they won a few weeks back, but they won La Liga on 88 points. 4 points above their El Clasico. What's the word? Rival. Thank you. I couldn't think of the name all of a sudden. Real Madrid on 84 points. Atletico Madrid finished in third on 76 points. Athletic Club, who played in the semifinals of the Europa League against Manchester United, finished in fourth on 70 points. And Villarreal, also on 70 points, finished in fifth. Those top 5 places get them Champions League teams as well. Real Betis, Celta Vigo, and Rayo Vallecano, 6th through 8th in that order. Real Betis and Celta will be playing in the Europa League, while Rayo Vallecano will be playing in Europa Conference League.
Ancelotti likely to leave Real Madrid for...
already has.
Is it done?
Already has. Yep. He is
head manager of Brazil.
Correct.
National team.
Correct.
So end of an era at Real Madrid. End
And
of a winning era under Carlo Ancelotti.
Very, very winning. Yes, absolutely. And Real Madrid's new manager, the name I couldn't think of earlier, is Xabi Alonso from Bayern Leverkusen, back with that club where he was a midfielder for that club, was inducted a few days back and did his press conference a few days back, basically saying, hey, he wants control of the transfers going in and out. Kylian Mbappe for Madrid was the European Golden Boot. He scored a boatload of goals, somewhere in the 40s or something like that. But yeah, so some interesting things going on there in La Liga.
Pressure's on.
Mm-hmm. Go over to the Bundesliga, and Bayern Munich and Harry Kane win the league. Blake, in a year where Arsenal wins zilch nothing, Tottenham win a trophy. Harry Kane wins a trophy.
They should have got rid of him earlier. He was apparently the problem.
Hey, they both win trophies. Everybody's happy. Bayern Munich, 82 points, blew it away this season. It really wasn't in. It was tight, kind of early on into Christmas, but they kind of pulled away post that break. Bayern Leverkusen in second on 69 points. Eintracht Frankfurt, who Mamouche played for prior to going there. So we'll see how they do, but they finished in third on 60 points. Now Borussia Dortmund 5 or 6 wins down the stretch was huge for them as they nipped in to the Champions League, 2 points ahead of Freiburg. Will be playing in Europa League, and Borussia Dortmund on 57 points, Freiburg at 55th. And then Mainz, 05, playing in Europa League, Europa Conference League on 52 points.
I've never seen Harry Kane happy on a soccer pitch.
That
was the first
time. Wild. In Ligue 1 in France, the McDonald's Ligue 1, but gents, we didn't talk about them a lot this season, but Big Mac and fries over there in France, or Royale and cheese. Royale and cheese, yeah.
Le Big Mac.
But guys, take a wild stab at who was first in that league. Let's go ahead.
This would be the opposite of the Premier League. The French league just needs something other than PSG all the time,
right? By like 20 points ish.
Yeah. The PSG 84 points. The closest team next to them were Marseille on 65.
Watch out, manager get fired next year.
100%. But PSG will play Inter Milan in the Champions League final this coming Saturday, which I'm excited to watch, and do want to go somewhere to watch that game if any of you gents are on, if you want to get together and watch that game. But that should be a good match. Prior to the Orlando City match that night, Marseille in second on 65 points, Monaco in third on 61 points. Interesting here, fourth place is a Champions League qualifier for them, and that's Nice. Lille, Lyon, and Strasbourg. Lille, Lyon, both in Europa League, both on 60 points and 57 points, and then 57 points. Strasbourg will be playing Europa League next year. And then finally, this will kind of take us into our biggest cup or tournament type games, but in the championship, we already knew that Leeds and Burnley were automatic promotions, and there's a playoff that occurred. Well, Sheffield and Sunderland played on Saturday, and what is dubbed the most expensive game in the world because it gains promotion to the Premier League. You get all that TV money, you get yada, yada, yada. But Sheffield looking really good early on there. I was excited. I was wearing my kit. Maybe should have been up 2-0. Dubious call there. Nonetheless, that did not happen. And Sunderland, back in the Premier League, off of some late dramatics there, 2-1 win with a goal in the 76th and a goal in the 90+5 of extra time. Earned them promotion back into the Premier League. It has been a long time coming. They haven't been in the Premier League in the past 8, 9, 10 years. It's something insane.
I was going to say 8 because they were in when we started.
Yep. So you have the Tyneside Derby that will be back between Sunderland and Newcastle. You remember on Netflix there's a show called Sunderland Till We Die, which ironically covered them going further and further down the tables.
Down the leagues.
Down the leagues. Yes, absolutely. But they finished fourth in the regular season on the table, but they did win the playoff.
Can we talk about that though? Good Lord. First place Leeds at 100 points. Second place Burnley at 100 points. Sheffield third at 90, and then Sunderland at 76. There's a steep drop off right after that third.
And they have the second youngest team in all of the English FA leagues or something like that. So they have a very, very young team. Their goal scorer in the 95th, Tom Watson, actually on loan from Brighton, I think. Or somebody in the Premier League, so he's not playing there next season. He's going back to wherever he's from, but scored that goal, and a lovely goal. It's a goal that you can't be mad if it scores in the way that it did. Yes, I'm on the couch. I sent the boys a text. I'm wearing a Sunderland kit. I have my Donkey Kong mug because I work a lot with one of my favorite gorillas, Donkey Kong. But I'm sitting there on the couch. I'm watching this game. I'm like, oh my god, this game's nuts. I'm trying to hang up something while I'm doing it. I'm doing the wall behind me. And I'm trying to hang up a ball and I'm listening to the game. I'm running back and forth. Goal in the 76. All right, tied at 1-1. We might be going to extra time in the most expensive game. Would have been awesome. But then this lad, Tom Watson, comes in. Not going to be there next season. He only subbed in the 73rd minute. picks up the ball around midfield, does kind of a nonchalant darting run, so it's kind of hard to explain, but weaves himself into the center of the pitch. Then from about 40 yards out, doesn't lash it like you think he's going to lash it, right? Like absolutely hit the ball, top bends, corner. No, he calmly strikes the ball, and it perfectly just absolutely nestles into the bottom side net of the corner of the goal. Just a most beautifully striked ball. If you have not seen it, go see it. It is one of the best strikes that I think I've ever seen on just TV because of how that goal was scored, the moment it was scored in, and how he struck it and didn't feel like he had to absolutely annihilate the ball. It was just precision. It was class. It was a wonderful strike by Tom Watson.
And I hope they're competitive because I'm looking at these folks getting in, and this could be
They're
easy
young.
up. No.
Yes.
But these 3 clubs getting promoted could be an easy in and right in and right back out.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Absolutely, and they are very, very young. So we'll see if they make any signings or they splash any sort of cash in the summer here. We get over to the biggest tournaments and cups in Europe. We talked about it briefly, but Crystal Palace win their first major trophy ever as they beat Manchester City 1-0 in the Emirates FA Cup.
God, you really thought that was how Man City was going to salvage the season. That's cool. Crystal Palace did that.
Yeah, no, absolutely. If you haven't seen or you don't follow or you don't watch the Premier League, which you're listening to this pod, I find that very hard to believe. But if you watch the Premier League, you know of the name Rebecca Lowe. If you do not follow her in any of the stories and any of her
Instagram was incredible.
Awesome. And how
like, was this the most memorable day of your life, or was it when your kid was born?
Yes.
Which one?
It ranks up.
She said it was her
1, 2, and 3, 1A, 1B, 1B. Yeah, it's
her third best day of her life. First was kids being born. Second was marriage. Third was Palace winning.
Yeah. And it good story with her dad. And her dad took her, and the last time they were in it, yada yada yada. But also, how NBC gave her the time off to go over there and enjoy it as a fan. She didn't have to work because there was games going on them. But just awesome. So I know I don't think we've potted since they won the FA Cup, so definitely wanted to say that. But Crystal Palace, well done. And as somebody, I put a post on my personal Instagram. It was the first Premier League game I ever saw. Ian and Phil have told the story on the pod. We scalped our way into our first Premier League game, Palace and Man United, in 2023. Brilliant stadium. Just gave us our first best Premier League experience in terms of this older stadium in this neighborhood. Just absolutely proper, and a good stadium, and a fun club, and I'm very, very glad that they won. They certainly deserve that. Europa League, we talked on that. Tottenham Hotspur win their first major trophy since 07-08 as the 17th place team beat the 16th place team in the Premier League at the time. Manchester United by a scoreline of 1-0. We talked about that a little bit. Just an ugly game. Nobody really deserved to win that game, but Tottenham did. They got through, and Joe always wins something in his second year. He did. He also came out at the end of the last game and said that, as everybody knows from TVs, I cannot do an Australian accent. Aussie, oi, oi, oi. Oh, the third season's always better than the second. I cannot do an Australian accent.
Did you see what somebody else said? Like, yeah, mate, you know what happens in the third season? They kill the main character.
Yeah, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, what third season is good? I cannot think of a third season that's good for me.
He said that. And I'm
maybe
like,
Ted Lasso is a really good
usually,
third season, but
usually a third is like, oh, I'm so glad this show's coming back. And then you end up going,
yes.
Well, maybe they should have just ended it after the second one.
You'd have better luck if he goes like movies, maybe like a Return of the Jedi. Okay,
but
pretty darn good.
Look, Stranger Things season 3, Mandalorian
Die Hard
season
with the
3.
Vengeance. You had
Back
Bruce
to the
Willis,
Future.
Samuel L. Jackson, Back to the Future. Yeah, you could get some good ones there.
But TV shows, third season, not so much.
Yeah.
One other thing. Your stat shows 17th. This is their first trophy won in 17 years, but it's also the first European trophy in 41 years.
There you go. Yep. Because they won the League Cup, I think, back in 07-08.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, correct. Very good call. The Women's Champion League. wow, if you didn't watch that game on Saturday, Arsenal women win their first Champions League since 2007 with a massive 1-0 win over the heavy favorites of Barcelona women, who just beat Chelsea on aggregate like 8-1 or 8-2 in the semifinals before that. And they were seeking their third in a row. And Arsenal women score in, was it the 70 or 82nd minute? It was something like that. Beth Mead and, this name I'm going to butcher. Steina Blankenstein. No, I said that wrong. Steina Blankenstein. Blake, help me out here.
Isn't it Blackstenius?
Blackstenius?
Yes. What Ron
You're
just
correct.
said. Yes.
Oh, wow, that sounded so much easier when you said it. Blackstenius? See, now I can say it. Pulisic.
Samsonite. I was
way off.
For 8 years, that nothing's changed.
No, it's God Almighty. It's one thing. Like here's the thing with me: if I hear the name first, I can say the name. If I have to read it without getting like the
pronunciation,
I'm going off of what I think it may be, and then I just butcher it because it's never right. If I hear it first, I can usually repeat it then. Anyways, moving on. We can go to my speech therapy a lot later in episode 412 in this pod. But Arsenal, just a gutty win. 2 Americans on the field and won that game as well, or one at least played. The other one I think might have subbed in. No, she didn't sub in, but was on the bench. But Emily Fox started that game, got a 7.4 overall rating. She is a right back, center back for the U.S. women's national team. They just were going into camp, and the U.S. women, I don't know if you've seen that. They gave her this standing guard of honor as she came into camp. And Jenna Nicewanger, also on that team, gets herself a Champions League medal. And finally, not a league we talk about a whole lot, but I think we have to say it here: the Scottish Cup. Blake, give me a Scottish accent.
The Scottish Cup, Aberdeen beating the Celtic. Aye, 4-3 on pens, mates, to win their first Scottish FA Cup in about 35 years. Up the Aberdeen.
And that is your LeagueA's Roundup.
I have an update on Highland Brewery. How's that for you? How quick is that from Ron's beer?
Great segue, by the way.
So right after we did that, because doing the Old North State poem just made me think of my mom, because my mom was a history teacher down in Carolina as well. So I zapped her while Ferris started going to the table, going, "Hey, we just did this. I don't know if you saw this about Mr. Wong's." My mom lives in Western Carolina. She goes, "Oh, I did see that and almost shared it with you, but I kind of figured, you know what? I'll bet you know because you follow all this stuff." And she's like, and then sends me a picture of her and my dad working at Highland Brewery. They would do this Celtic festival every year, and they would they'd volunteer and do this merch stuff at the Highland Brewery. Actually, I think it was in Nashville. It was the Highland Brewery. They would do the festivals Highland Brewery has a cool music venue there that they've got, where they've got like these shipping containers and stuff, or bars and stuff out there. It's like really cool. And they would volunteer out there. And she sent me the picture. She goes, "Yeah, we used to hang out with him." And she goes, "I have a pint glass that he gave us that I keep meaning to give you over the years, and I've just totally forgotten to give you." But she was talking about him and his wife, like meeting him. I was like, "That's so cool!" And sent me a picture of them at the volunteering at Highland Brewing.
Awesome.
So on that note,
small world,
right? Small world. Beer mentions of the pod. I went with 2 cervezas. I had Mexican lager from Lancaster Brewing Company here in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and then from where I'm working over at Manheim, PA, where we have our Swashbuckler Brewing Company on site, our Otremas Mexican style lager. Super. Both of these were friggin' great.
And I also had 2 from Tripping Animals down south in Doral, Florida, one of my favorite breweries in the state. Had Wild Duck Belgium-style double, 8%. And then I also had In Boca al Lupa, Italian-style Pilsner, non-filtered. This is damn good and going down smooth.
Gentlemen, I've had probably the second best beer of my entire life. on this pod tonight, from Brother Bernardus's hands of the Our Lady of Koningshoven Abbey, Trappist Oak Age Quad, 3 years in oak red wine barrels. Gentlemen, life doesn't get much better than that.
If we were still brewing, I'd tell you to cultivate that yeast, baby.
And we got to definitely get. I know we've been bad. We got to get these all untapped, and we'll do a post about them because
I would totally yeast wash this.
Hell yeah!
There you go. There's a phrase we haven't heard on the pod before.
Yeah,
Good old
man.
Yeast wash.
Well, good old
that means
yeast
two
wash.
things.
Oh my god!
I don't think that means what you think it means.
I know.
Ferris, do you have a Zlatan quote for us?
One that I said on the pod before, but it only seems applicable to the season. I won't be the king of Manchester. I will be the god of Manchester. Boy, do we need a god in Manchester right now.
When someone
God,
asks
come
if
back,
you're a
Zlatan.
god,
I don't even care what you do.
you say yes.
Yes. I couldn't help it. It just flashed into my head. The Stay Puft Marshmallow Man.
What did you do, Ray? Follow us on wherever's the Blue Skies, the what have yous. Just go to our website, thebeautifulgame.com. Whatever you listen to us on, leave a review. It helps out. Tell the friends, the families, the great aunties. Let everybody know what's going on. Oh yeah, and if you leave us a review, let us know. We'll get you some fun in the mail to you. All right, no dad joke to end the pod, gentlemen. Just a question. You sorry SOBs. You know what's going to happen? You know what's going to happen when you have to eat it and Arsenal lifts their next trophy? You know what's going to happen? I'm going to cut off my Xbox. Peace out! Love the beer. Cherish the game. The beautiful game.
What